Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Town Council meeting. Today is Monday, February 26th, 2018. I would ask each of you to stand and join us with the pledge. Roll call, please.
Council President Healy.
Here.
Council Vice President Collins.
Here.
Councilman DeCruz.
Here.
Councilwoman Gledhill.
Here.
Councilman Veely.
Here.
All members present.
Thank you. Item number 4, could I ask for the approval of the 2 previous meetings, the work session of February 12th, 2018, and the regular session, February 12th, 2018.
Motion to approve items 4A and B.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Seeing no oppositions, we'll move on to item 5, which is the consent agenda. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Moving forward to item 6A. It's a resolution granting a victuallating license to McPhee Cafe, doing business as the 401 Cafe on Fortin Road, 100 Fortin Road in Kingstown. Application by Adriana McPhee. Is Adriana here? Why don't you come up and introduce yourselves, both of you, and then just tell us a little bit about what you'll be doing.
You can lower the mic if you want.
Are you calling us short?
No.
We actually are taking over the 401 Cafe. My name is Chelsea McPhee, my wife Adriana McPhee. We've been there for a while, so figured why not, right? Let's jump in. So we're going to keep it just as it is, as it's been running. Coffee, breakfast, baked goods.
Remind us what the hours are and anything else about the business you'd like
Right now we're keeping it 7 to 4 during the week, and then 8 to 2 on the weekends.
Have you guys ever owned a business before?
No.
That's
You guys have
exciting.
been working there for a while, right?
Yeah, for about, 3 years now?
I see Kate's here, so I'm assuming she's an enthusiastic supporter.
For sure.
That's awesome. So congratulations to you guys.
Thank you so much.
Do we have a motion?
I make a motion we approve item 6A.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Seeing no opposition,
Luck.
best of luck to you.
So much.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Moving on to item number 7A, which is a communication which was received on February 8th, 2018, from the Hurley and Tremblay families requesting South Kingstown to participate in the upcoming Black Balloon Day, which is on March 26th, 2018, in remembrance of all those who have lost their battle to their addiction. We have received it, placed it on file, and how would the town council further direct?
I don't know if Dale or Rob would know. Have we ever participated in this before? No. Okay.
The only question I have is there's no time here.
I think on the additional paper, it indicated that if you're doing it as an individual, you could do it whenever, but as a business, it would be during your hours of operation or at the town hall, things like that.
Right.
I have no objection to participating in this. I mean,
I think it's a good thing,
yeah.
especially with everything going on in town.
I know that the letter did indicate, it wasn't clear to me if it was an invitation to just the town hall or if it was also the police department, because it said police departments also participate in it. So I would just leave that to the discretion of the chief as to whether or not he feels comfortable participating.
There is, on that sheet of paper too, it can, they asked if people wanted any more information or any, questions and answers, they could Google Black Balloon Day, and they'd be able to get back to them if anybody had any further comments or questions.
I'll make a motion to accept the communication and place it on file.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any oppositions or abstentions? No? Okay, moving on to item 7A. This is a communication dated February 13th, 2018, from Governor Gina Raimondo, requesting a resolution in opposition to the proposed inclusion of the North Atlantic region in the 2019 through 2024 National Outer Continental Shelf Oil and Gas Leasing Program. We have received this, and how would the council further direct?
I would support passing such a resolution. I think, we've seen firsthand with the oil leak on Moonstone Beach, I don't know how many years ago that was, just how devastating the impacts of oil can be on ocean life. And, I think really this is a pretty foolish idea to develop offshore drilling off the East Coast. So I'm fully in support of this.
We have a second.
I'll second that. I also enthusiastically oppose any offshore drilling.
For discussion purposes, you're adopting the resolution that's attached as a draft.
I would, make that motion.
Just want to be sure.
Can we take, do we take comments now? If we can, you certainly can.
To this issue?
It's totally up to you.
Sure. Yes, Jim.
Yeah, never say never. Now, I'm older than most of you, but if you're familiar with Seabrook, New Hampshire, that was going to be the former Charlestown Air Base. 2 reactors, monstrous. You can't believe what was going to happen back in the late 40s, early 50s. Senator Pell, former Senator Green, Pastore, they all came to the rescue. And Abel was right, the Scandia spill 6-7 years ago. Meridian power plant that was going to be put at URI. 500,000 to 1 million gallons of oil were going to be stored up there. Yikes. And fortunately, some level heads prevailed, but this is important to really stop it in its tracks. I'd like to say it would never happen, but I think we learned too many times that that seems to escape us. So certainly hopefully be a unanimous vote to say no to the administration. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. O'Neill. So I believe we have a motion and a second on the table. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any oppositions or abstentions? Seeing none, the resolution, we will support what was sent to us. Number 7C is a communication dated January 21st of this year from James O'Neill relative to Envine LLC's appeal from the denial of 10 building permits dated January 12th of this year for the South Shore Village and Country Club, and stating that the town council must order the building inspector to deny all building permits requests on the site, not to just stick-built requests. It has been received and placed on file. And, okay.
Thank you, Madam President. Jim O'Neill, Matunic. I heard at the work session tonight the appeal of the denial of the 10 building permits that took place on January 12th. So I guess I'll kind of leave that out of the discussion, although it may be a reference to it here or there. But just a quick review here. I think you set a precedent last year that might give us an opportunity here to figure out what's happening. Mike has said, I've got all kinds of stars here, how many times. You've heard him say that all homes on this site must be manufactured homes. All of them have to be manufactured off-site. All the manufactured homes cannot be built from the ground up. Also, too, he brought up that the planning board never specify this needs to be a mobile home on wheels, comes in, wheels off, and sets down. Nothing was ever specific. He also spent a lot of time regarding that the zoning and planning boards could never have contemplated the evolution of the industry. Of course, as I've said all along, and which Rob said when he came on board, that issue was irrelevant because of whatever occurred and whatever that vote was in 1999, that was it. That's what we have to go by. And then another time, Mike repeated, homes cannot be built from the ground up. Then he referred to them being just stick-built. Then later, a few months afterwards, Mike mentioned again the methodology of construction was not specified. The only thing prohibited is building from the ground up. My response to that was that manufactured homes are self-defined. As you know, mobile homes are included in the manufactured home definition by HUD. I also brought up that both modular and stick-built are permanently attached to foundations, which means they're immovable, not only from the ground up, but you're built from below the basement up. So both modular and stick-built are built from well underground up. Mike also mentioned that the 1990 decision did not specify ownership by lease. And although lease was mentioned in there a few times, I guess we could always argue on just how specific the particular language was. As you know, all the applicants, because I gave you that information, all the applicants had asked for an extension of Tuckertown Village. There'd be no deeds, leases, personal property, so on and so forth. That's what they asked for, and that's what just the men and women that councils like you have put on those committees. And using their best information they could gather, and with help from the manager and council at that time, they made a decision. It would be a mobile and manufactured home park. And Mike has said numerous times, he's repeatedly, many times, manufactured homes are not mobile homes. And he goes on to say, and these are all quotes that I've done. I've listened to the tape so many times, my fingers are sore, my eyes are sore. But anyway, it's not something, again, he's repeated, it's not something that has wheels in it, rolled in, wheels pulled off, and put on a foundation. But they are. Those are what manufactured homes are. And that's what takes place in Tuckertown Village. After Mike had a, I think he said, conference call with the Department of Business and Regulation, seemed to me that his definition, he was comparing mobile homes from manufactured homes, and that's apples to apples. What we should be doing here is comparing modular homes with manufactured homes, because manufactured homes include mobile. Okay, a couple things here. The state definition, and even though Mike has told us that they moved immediately into a condominium form of ownership, but the state definitions confirm everything we need to know about mobile and manufactured homes. It says right there, they are detached. That's what a manufactured home, 100% built to the factory, that's what it is. Comes to a park, plugged in, plumber, water, done. You can move in immediately. Doesn't mean it can't be put on a foundation, but most manufactured homes are put on pads and piers, tie-downs, you name it. And the state, of course, says if you have 4 or more of those homes, you have to apply for the license, so on and so forth. In this case, they don't, because they became a condominiumized. That's an interesting word, condominiumized. I think I've got it, whatever you want to call that. But I think what's important here is thinking what the state said. And it's kind of important what the state said, because state was pretty clear, because I gave you all the paperwork on it. Their definition, Title 31, Chapter 31, 44, Sections 1 through 35. Definitions. Mobile and manufacturing home means a detached residential unit, transported on wheels or a flatbed, trailer, so on and so forth. You know what I've said before. Mobile and manufactured home park. Park means a plot of ground where 4 or more homes are placed. So the state confirms the definition of a manufactured home. Article 9 of the zoning ordinance at the time. Says that all mobile and manufactured home parks, they're allowed by Article 2, R48 districts, on and on and on. Had to get a special use permit. We know all about that now. The use at the 1999 decision was very clear. A mobile and manufactured home park followed the regs of Article 9, all the zoning regs. So that's where we stand, I thought. So what we've got now, I believe, is a land development project. We do not have manufactured homes. We have seen that stick-builts are out there. We have seen most of the new homes out there are modular homes. And I think this is where the difference we have right now. It's, I believe it's a land development project. I reread the 1999 decision by zoning and planning, and I reread, and I didn't bring it to you, and I won't do it, the 200 pages from the 1982 decision. Very, very clear. Tuckertown Village, South Shore Country Club. It's just, it's all there for everyone to see. And the other thing that you've got to realize, too, is that modular and stick-built are put on foundations, permanent foundations. So it means they're all built from the ground up. So think about this for a minute. Manufactured homes, 100% built off-site. Modular, fewer pieces, but still many pieces. Mr. LeBlanc's photos that he gave to the town to look at illustrate just how difficult it is, but the construction crews, the work they have to do after the modules arrive. And stick, of course, has got multiple pieces. I think if I used, Mike, I think, has played a little loose with definitions here and the meaning of what the 1999 decision was all about. And I really don't understand it because I think it's something that we all should be working towards trying to reach a proper decision. I don't know if it's a compromise or not, but the difference is really serious. The decision, it's a 99 home difference. 204 units, which was said in the 1999 decision by your planning and zoning boards. That was judged against, at the time, 285, now 303 with property added. That's the difference. It's monstrous. And the 204 were based upon a net yield, because the land development project / subdivision, you take out water, wetlands, drainage, roads, etc. So that's how you get a net number. All right. Last time, Mr. Rosen here asked about those, I think, 5 units that were stick-built. And I think if I quoted him right from the tapes here, if South Kingston were to force the homes to be removed, it would expose the public to liability because we allowed the construction of them. And I have to tell you, I don't know if the building office knew what, remember, this is back in 1999. 2007 was simply development plan review, where they just put the pieces and just house cleaning. I don't know if the building office knew what this was. Apparently no one asked any questions. So I wasn't there. We only found out later. But it seems to me if they had had some instruction or some warning, and maybe this is a huge gap of how we do business, but from 1999 to 2016, I mean, that a lot of things can get lost. But I don't believe they had the right information for this. But I'm really confused because should there have been fines or penalties? I don't know. But I'm going to bring up something that the council did last year, which is the precedent that we can work on here. And you all remember the farmhouse by the sea. There were multiple, over the years, scores of phone calls, police, fire, number of cease and desist orders, so on and so forth. Anyway, consent decree came along. The town council with Mike and Steve at the time, you decided correctly to keep all those families who are having weddings happy, but you also fined the farmhouse folks for every wedding, I believe the maximum of $500. But you also made one thing very clear, a cease and desist of all their business activities. No more marketing, no more taking a deposit, no nothing, until they did the planning board and the zoning board route, which they're now just finishing. Very specific. This was small potatoes. This, what I'm talking about, South County Country Club, this is monstrous, and this is why I have pleaded with you at every meeting. We need to call a ceasefire here. Get the whole thing done. And that's the way to do this correctly. A couple of things here, then I'll wrap it up. Rob mentioned at the time that, and I can't find it in the zoning ordinance, but he said the zoning ordinance at the time read mobile or manufactured. And he continued one or the other. And I cannot find it in the zoning ordinance. I've reread it a million times. Everywhere in the zoning ordinance it says and mobile and manufacturing, everywhere. State, mobile and. Article 9, mobile and. Everywhere. Preamble, intent, mobile and. Everywhere in this ordinance. I'd be happy to share it with you at any time. So what I'm worried about here, gosh, was there a scribe's error, scrivener's error somewhere that the information didn't come forward? I just don't know. And the fact that Rob mentioned there was no harm done here. And I can't disagree. Just on the building site, yes. What's 5? But as I said at the meeting last week, remember, he was just turned down for 10. I mentioned, well, what would have been the crossover point where we just would throw up our hands? I don't know. No one can answer that. And I really do appreciate, frankly, what Mr. LeBlanc had brought forward here. I've seen all the information from his attorneys. I think he's been very forthcoming and upfront with what he wants. And he said at the last meeting that he wanted to change, I've got the quotes here. Okay, here they are. That he wants to differ. He wants to build the right project. He said that a couple of times for upper middle income folks, then / middle income folks. That's on the tape. He also said on the tape that he's observed HUD, brought up HUD to you a million times, the HUD developers from New York, he mentioned, who have the HUD permits looking to build, on large parcels of land, which this is. But as I've told you, which I've read here many times, the HUD developers are manufactured homes. They are the guys that are brought in on wheels, sometimes the back of flatbeds. 100% done. They're inspected at the factory. There are no structural inspections here. That's the difference. Where modular and stick have to be fully inspected. And just from the photos that Mr. LeBlanc forwarded, you could see there's a lot of work completing these units. It's really incredible. I don't know if you've seen all the photos, but he presented them along with Mr. Kenyon's letters supporting his position. So I think with the precedent that the Farmhouse by the Sea has given to you, the other precedent that was set was Waccamaw Park. I gave you that whole history at the first meeting. The middle-income folks were kind of tossed out. They couldn't come up with the money to buy the park unless they came up with $400,000 each. But my point is, they didn't ask for water slides or whatnot. They just kept things the same, just wanted nicer homes. Hence Mr. LeBlanc. But the rules are, you go back to planning, you go back to zoning, you work this out. And that was a CW, Coastal Commercial Waterfront District. I guess we could call it legal nonconforming, where this is a specific use only for a manufactured home park. But there are a couple of precedents right there for you that you could go forward and say, let's take a time out. We need to fix this. And it can be fixed. there is something between the 204 units and the 303. But this is just too obvious what the definitions are for a manufactured home versus a modular home. And, I know Mike is very careful with his English here, and I'll give him that credit. I'm not, because I'm not an attorney, so I'm just, plow my way through here. But he is very careful never to mention the word modular. I had to go back to those tapes, oh my gosh, 3 times this past weekend. He always talks about the manufactured part. He never talks about, he doesn't say the word modular. Because I think the confusion is where he's coming from is he's always comparing the difference between mobile home and manufactured home, and that is not the case. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. If there is anybody else who would like to come to speak to this, now would be the time if you'd like to, and or you can wait to comments from interested citizens. How do you propose that we proceed with this?
Make a motion to put 7C on file.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any oppositions or abstention at this time? Okay. Moving on. Now we are moving on to item number 8, which is comments from interested citizens. Now would be the time if anybody would like to come up to the podium and speak on any individual issues that you may have. Just come to the podium, state your name for the record, please.
Jim O'Neill, Matunuck. Actually, a different question. Most of you have been to a number of these school meetings, particularly on the facilities issue. And I've only followed it in the newspaper, but no one, I don't believe any decisions have been made yet. We still have A through D. Some of the public has thrown in an E and an F and a G, I guess. I don't know where it's going to end. But have they, I just hope this guy they've hired wasn't a ploy just to not make a decision for 4 or 5 years. As you know, I started this all back in 1909 with Bob Hicks, the superintendent. He said, that's going to be the last year for Curtis Corner. As you know, I've stood up here every year and said, I've got an office downtown Wakefield. Having the kids at Wakefield School is really wonderful business for downtown. It brings us alive, the vitality, all of it. But I just feel that we're going to go by with no decisions again. And then 3 years afterwards, Tony Mega, who was chairman of the school committee at the time, said, we're over facilities. It's hurting programs we could give to the kids. But we just don't seem to understand from transportation costs and the school costs, we don't seem to have an understanding of how we've been massacred financially by the education funding formula because we have not managed the facilities. And remember, most of that formula is because of the number of kids in the seats and how they've dropped. So do you have any knowledge or guesswork of where we should be directing our thoughts with the budget season? Do you feel they've made a decision or there's no decision yet?
I don't think there's a decision at this point.
We have a work session tomorrow night with them specifically on this, so I don't think they're going to make a decision until after that.
I think some people have their opinions of where they stand.
Okay.
Like I have my own in regards to that, but it's definitely a difficult decision, but a decision does need to be made.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to come up to speak? Okay, none. Move on to item 9, which is something new.
That's consent agenda.
Oh, I'm sorry. Town Manager's Report.
Good evening. How are you? Short report today. We're in the middle of budget preparation. We have work sessions on the budget on the 5th, 6th, and 7th. Dale, do you remember the time for those? 6:30. 3 nights in a row. We'll get a whole lot of budget. So it'll be great. Tomorrow night there is a work session, a joint work session with the school committee. That is a work session committed only to discussion of the facilities planning exercise that the school committee has been engaged in. That session is tomorrow at 7:30, I believe, at the high school I will note that we received notice today that the CDBG grant application that we had submitted in hopes of being able to do the seawall project down on Matunic is not coming our way. Those monies were committed elsewhere, and they're not available for our project. We do have a Plan B, and we've got our thinking caps on about a Plan C. So all is not lost yet, but that was quite a bit of bad news. I will take the opportunity just to address very briefly concern about the interpretation of the zoning ordinance, this and an or thing, just so folks don't get the impression that we're trying to pull something over on anyone. It really was an emphasis that you were dealing with mobile or manufactured because the ordinance talks about the two things as distinct from one another. It wasn't that the zoning ordinance literally says says one or the other, but the fact that it references two different things means it contemplated two different things. If a will says Mary and Joe may live in the house, it means either one may live in the house, and that was the point that was being made there, not a literal reading of the language of the zoning ordinance, just the implications of the language that was being used. That,
Thank you.
that's my report.
Moving on to item number 11, the town solicitor's report.
Megan, unless there are questions, I have nothing to report this evening.
And item number 12, any appointments? Joe, you're usually good at recommending, making a motion.
Make a resolution to appoint Jacob D. Clemon to the Economic Development Committee for a term to expire in March 2019.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Do we want to also appoint him to the...
I'll make a motion to also appoint Jacob Clemon to the trustees of the South Kingstown School Funds for a term to expire in June 2020, if he is willing to take both on.
All those in favor?
Aye.
No opposition? And then any other? Okay. Moving on to item, 13B. This is a resolution authorizing an award of bid to Liberty Chevrolet in Wakefield, Massachusetts for the purchase of one dump truck, body truck with a plow in accordance with all bid specifications in the purchase amount of $43,700, and this would include a trade-in allowance of $16,750. That has been described in a memo from the Director of Leisure Services dated February 20, and it's for a dump truck and plow and box van. You have a motion?
Motion to approve item 13B as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Seeing no oppositions, moving on to C, which is a resolution authorizing an award of bid to Stoneham Motor Company in Stoneham, Mass. For the purchase of a high-cube van in accordance with all bid specifications for the purchase amount of $31,420, which includes a trade-in of $200. And again, that's further described in a memorandum from the Director of Leisure Services to the Town Manager. Dump body truck with a plow and box van.
To approve item 13C as presented.
Second, with a comment, the trade-in value on that box is so low, but I understand it's a 13-year-old vehicle and it probably has a lot of miles. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure it served us well.
Okay, do we have a motion and a second on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Moving forward to 13D, which is a resolution authorizing an award of contract to Atlas Pyrovision Entertainment Group in Jeffrey, New Hampshire for the 2018 and 2019 4th of July fireworks display in accordance with all bidding specification in the amount of $18,500 per year for a total of $37,000, and that again is described in a memorandum from the Director of Leisure Services to the Town Manager on February 21st of this year.
Make a motion we approve item 13D.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any oppositions? Okay, seeing none. Moving on to E, a resolution authorizing M.E. O'Brien and Sons of Medford, Mass. As the sole source for purchase of playground replacement parts manufactured by Landscape Structures in the amount not to exceed $11,205, and that is again described in a memorandum to the town manager dated February 20, and this is specifically for Brusso Park.
Motion to approve item 13E is presented.
I'll second that with a comment. I noticed it came in significantly under budget from what we had set aside for it, and I'm just wondering if you had considered expanding some of your plans for that, or if we'll just put that money in the reserve.
So what we will do with those additional funds is put it in the playground structure reserve fund. So we go systematically playground by playground.
Any other comment? Terry?
No, I would just note that M.E. O'Brien and Sons is the regional provider for landscape structure elements, and we've got to use the same components by that manufacturer, so that's the reason for the request for sole source.
When do you think it'll be completed, if it gets approved tonight?
I can't give you a time frame. 8 weeks would be delivery on those items, and then hopefully spring,
Yeah.
early summer.
Okay, cool. Break in the equipment,
Do we have a motion and a second on this?
We do.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Seeing none, moving on to F. And this is a resolution authorizing an award of bid to the firm Blum, Shapiro and Company in Cranston, Rhode Island, and Hartford, Connecticut, subject to the annual renewal at the following rates. The fiscal year audit for 2018, $54,460. Fiscal year 2019, $55,500, and fiscal year 2020, $56,600. And this is also further described in a memorandum from the finance director to the town manager dated February 20th. Request for proposals for professional audit services.
Motion to approve item 13F is presented.
Second with a comment. Just want to point out that it was not the low bidder, but there was a pretty extensive grading system or scoring system. That was, I agree with the bid for Bloom Shapiro.
Tricia, did you want to have any comments before we? Thank you.
Madam President, if I may, I will point out that while they weren't the low bidder, they were the second of 4 in terms of low bid. And the scoring evaluation mechanism used by staff was really exemplary. It was a very well done evaluation of these proposals. So I'm very comfortable with this recommendation.
Thank you. We have a motion and we have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any oppositions? Okay, seeing none. Moving on to G. This is a resolution authorizing an award of bid to Ford of Branford in Connecticut for 5 2008 Ford Utility Police Interceptor vehicles and 1 2018 Ford Expedition SSV vehicle in a total amount not to exceed $193,904, including equipment, transfer, installation, and it's further described in a memorandum from the Chief of Police to the town manager dated February 16th and entitled Bid Recommendation. Police vehicles.
Motion to approve item 13G is presented.
Second.
Did you want to come up and make any comments, Chief Jaber?
My administrative assistant, Jackie Correa, and also Lieutenant Mark Healy worked diligently on this to bring it down to the 193. So they spent some time. It originally came in at 200,000, and we were budgeted only 187. So we were able to find that difference on another line item. So
That's great.
Great.
Welcome back, by the way.
Welcome back.
thank you.
Good to see you.
I'd just like to thank everybody for their support while I was out, and it's great to be back.
We have a motion and a second on the table. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Seeing no oppositions, we will move on to item I, which is a resolution authorizing an award of contract to Vision Government Solutions in Cabot Road in Hudson, Mass. For the development and implementation of statistical revaluation programs in the amount not to exceed $192,000, bid price of $182,000 plus a $10,000 contingency. This is described in a memorandum from the town assessor to the town manager dated February 20th for development and implementation of statistical revaluation program.
Motion to approve item 13I as presented.
Second with a comment. Just during the work session, the town manager mentioned that one of the bids didn't have the same computer software experience that we needed, and so we went with the one that did. So I'm comfortable with that, and I think that was great.
Did we
Oh, I'm
steal all
sorry.
your
I didn't
thunder?
even see you getting up.
No, please add your comments. I know you were very
So
involved
sorry.
with this.
Yeah, per state law, I mean, I don't want to go on, per state law, we have to do these revaluations every 3 years.
You have 3 minutes.
2 bids were submitted, one from Vision Government Solutions and one from Tyler Technology. The Vision bid was $182,000. Tyler was $172,300. However, the town's bid specifications required that the costs associated with software maintenance and web hosting be included in the bid. The Vision bid included those costs. Tyler's bid did not. They specifically stated in their bid that they were only bidding on appraisal services and were not including any hardware, software, or licensing. As a result, Vision was considered the only responsive bid. So, per my memo to the town manager, I recommended that the revaluation contract be awarded to the Vision Government Solutions. They have extensive experience in Rhode Island. They've done 25 revaluations over the last 5 years. They've done the last 5 revaluation in the town of South Kingston, and in my opinion, they were done in a very competent and timely manner. So, per my memo, if the council agrees, I would ask for approval.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
With no oppositions, it is government. Vision-
Motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
With a comment. Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned at 8:13. Nobody jinxed us tonight.